Pentagon calls for stop to anti-satellite weapons testing after debris from Russian demo threatened ISS.
Here's a summary of the article.
We would like to see all nations agree to refrain from anti-satellite weapons testing that creates debris, U.S. Department of Defense Deputy Secretary Kathleen Hicks said at a meeting of the National Space Council. The Russian military destroyed a defunct satellite with an anti-satellite weapon on November 15, which U.S. Space Command said created more than 1,500 pieces of debris and sent astronauts on the International Space Station into shelter as it passed through and near the shrapnel field. The test drew widespread condemnation from U.S. officials, which Russian officials responded by calling hypocritical given past American military tests in space. Such a display of deliberate disregard for safety, security and sustainability in space is one to be condemned and underscores the urgency of acting in defense of developing shared norms and having long-term sustainability of outer space, Hicks said. She spoke during a panel of the first National Space Council of President Joe Biden's administration, which Vice President Kamala Harris is chairing. By blasting debris, Russia endangered the satellites of other nations, as well as astronauts on the International Space Station, Harris said, adding later that the test created a moment for us to really see very clearly what can happen and what potentially can be avoided with norms and rules in space. State Department Deputy Secretary Wendy Sherman added during Wednesday's council meeting that the United Nations is creating a process to establish national security space norms of behavior.
This post received a score of 1400, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
When we become trapped on this planet because of a national chest-bumping match, and it dooms our species to death in the cradle, it will be deserved.
Billionaires. Earth's going to the shitter, time to move on to other planets. Putin. Not so fast.
No matter how shit Earth gets, it's still going to be better than anywhere else in the solar system. At least with our current technology.
I love how people often act like Mars is the promised paradise. Funny how some think jump-starting an ecosystem over there would cost less effort than preventing our own from turning into a desert. Let's escape a slowly growing uninhabitable Earth to check's notes to a planet with no oxygen, scarce water resources and terribly inhospitable climate. Escaping Earth for Mars is like the dumbest idea, but fucking novices think this is a great plan.
Yeah, expanding to Mars is smart, but incredibly long-term and would absolutely require us saving Earth first.
So literally, gravity.
Yes Poochie, I believe in gravity, and I also respect the first person to eat a mushroom.
Am I wrong? I thought the Russians had cosmonauts on the ISS a few times, and they benefited from the science experiments done there. The I in ISS is for international.
There are 2 Russian cosmonauts on the ISS right now.
Far out. Bogan move. Russia. Good one, S.
Well, when my whole military doctrine is based on satellite coverage, of course, I would be pissed off.
Every military is, and anyone can shoot them down. This is specifically causing havoc on private and scientific space endeavors.
No greater way for an evil to be corrected, than for it to inconvenience both the military and the 1%. The moment this goes from a mild irritation and warning of what could be, to a terrible problem with no solution in sight, is the moment Putin or whoever else tries to do this idea gets a taste of their own medicine in their morning tea.
In my opinion, if anyone was going to oppose Putin in a meaningful way they would have by now.
Putin is a horrible person, but most of what he does doesn't affect the vast majority of people. Especially not those who would be able to have something done about it. If however he was to do major damage to the satellite infrastructure most of the world relies on, I think he would very quickly find himself with a very long list of enemies.
They know how weak they will be in any war when the enemy can simply kill the satellites. Almost everything in US Army is dependent on satellites and would be kinda blind.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.